Yeah, I heard several things that really got stuck in my head. One thing is about, the complexity of getting sustainable finance working. And there was a few speakers that talked about the cooperation between suppliers, customers, integrators in the whole segment to work together and discuss about how we divide risks and how do we manage the risks between ourselves. It's unfair to ask from just one of the parties to take all the risks, right? So it's all about managing risks and managing rewards. So that's one thing. The other thing is that as a leasing company, in order to manage these risks, most of these risks are quite new to us. As a leasing company, we're typically used to looking at history. If it comes to asset management, we're used to looking at, what were the historic values of the particular assets. We can do some analysis on that, and we pretty well know what the values will be in the future. At least we can take some assumptions. With new assets, we don't have this data. It's not there. But the same applies also for the type of customers that we deal with. Many customers in the space of sustainability are startups or scale-ups. And again, as financiers, right, we typically like to look at the history. Well, these companies have no history. They only have a future. So it requires a change in mindset from our asset management departments, our credit management departments, and I think these two things were already mentioned by most of the speakers. But in my view, it requires more than that. It's not just the responsibility of these departments. It needs to come from the top. It requires a whole change of mindset on how you look at the business. So it needs to be driven from the top down to the whole organization that this is the way we're going. And these are now the risks that we are willing to take. And it's unfair to just say, okay, these are new assets. Dear asset manager, tell us all about it. It's too easy. It's too easy. It requires an effort from the whole company. So I think these are the few things that I picked up on. And again, the equipment leasing business is ideally placed to play a key role here. Many of the speakers talked about how the sustainability transfer requires an enormous investment. As a simple example, if you're driving a diesel bus and you want to transfer it into a battery-powered bus, the investment is twice as high, right? So it requires a huge investment. So that means financing in one form or another needs to be part of that solution. Leasing companies historically have always been right between what I would call the real economy and the financial economy, right? And much more than banks, I think, we are ideally placed between the two. So we understand a little bit about the assets and the markets and the concepts, and obviously we understand financing. So we are ideally placed to bring these two together to a real solution to finance sustainable assets. It is a huge challenge that we're facing. And one of the things that I think we need is, and I think it was mentioned from one of the speakers, that we need to learn about project finance capabilities. A lot of the challenges we see if we underwrite deals in this space, again, we don't have historic data, so we need to be able to assess the future cash flows, for instance, of a project or a company. We're not used to doing that. This is something we need to learn. Our whole industry needs to learn a lot more about. But if we bring those project finance capabilities and we mix them together with our asset knowledge, our asset experience, and also our capability to work together with the different parties in the industry, I think that's a golden combination. And those players that do that the best will be the winners. I think it's a great start. I think, but it's not more than that. It's a start. We need to build from here, and I think you notice from a lot of the questions, but also from a lot of the presentations, we are really at the beginning of this, and we need now to make it much more tangible and pragmatic, I guess. What does this mean for our industry? And I think today was a good kickoff for that. So in the next sessions, which I'm sure will come, that there will hopefully be a bit more room to discuss much more practical on how we do this.